In 1939, Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer released the movie The Wizard of Oz, which was based on the book The Wonderful Wizard of Oz, written by L. Frank Baum in 1900. While the movie is still considered one of the greatest films of all time, the production of this beloved classic was not as simple as simply clicking your heels together 3 times and saying there's no place like home. We want to delve into 10 fun film facts about The Wizard of Oz. Fact number 1. Production on the movie began after Walt Disney's featured animation Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs showed that audiences were receptive to film adaptations of childhood folklore and stories. It was in 1938 that MGM purchased the rights to the book from Samuel Goldwyn, who had been contemplating it as a perfect vehicle for Eddie Cantor in the role of the Scarecrow. During this time, Eddie Cantor was known as a comedian, dancer, singer, actor, and songwriter with trademark banjo eyes. The role was ultimately played by actor Roy Bolger in what would become his most iconic performance. Bonus fact: the studio originally envisioned Bolger for the role of the Tin Man, but Ray was adamant that his loose limb dance style would make him a bad choice for this role, and he convinced the studio to let him switch. Fact number 2. Dorothy's iconic shoes were red due to the glorious new revolution of Technicolor available to studios. In the book, Dorothy's magical slippers were originally silver. Dorothy was designed to represent the average everyday American, and her silver slippers represented the free silver movement of the 1890s. Between 1893 and 1896, many populists believed that the federal government should adopt an inflationary monetary policy, freely minting silver money in order to re-energize the national economy. However, when screenwriter Noel Langley drafted the script, he recommended the shoes be changed from silver to bright red, as they would show up much better against the iconic yellow brick road. But for purists of the original story, the silver slippers did make a triumphant return in The Wiz 40 years later. Fact number 3. Although Victor Fleming is officially credited as the director of this beloved family classic, the studio actually went through 5 different directors throughout the production. The very first director was Norman Taurog, who initially filmed a few of the earlier Technicolor tests. Norman was then replaced by Richard Thorpe, and he was fired just 2 weeks into production. His footage included Dorothy's first encounter with the Scarecrow and many of the sequences in the Wicked Witch's castle. The studio felt that Thorpe was rushing production, however, and adversely affecting the actor's performance. The studio then put George Cukor in charge, but he was summoned away soon to work on another movie you might remember, Gone with the Wind. Cukor did leave his mark on the film, however, when he modified the original vision the studio had for Garland. She had been wearing a blonde wig and heavy baby doll makeup early on, and she had been instructed to play Dorothy in an exaggerated manner. Cukor told Garland to just be herself. Although this was good for the film, it did mean any footage previously shot by Garland needed to be redone. Cukor was also the one who recommended the studio cast Jack Haley in the role of the Tin Man, which meant that he had to come on loan from Fox Studio for the production. Ironically, Cukor did not actually shoot any of the scenes for the movie, but acted more as a creative advisor for the troubled production while the studio attempted to salvage the project. Victor Fleming was eventually brought on to replace Cukor, who needed to get back to his own movie. Fleming took all of Cukor's recommendations, and production resumed for the next 6 months. Ironically, Fleming would eventually be called away from The Wizard of Oz to take over as director for Cukor's Gone with the Wind. During the filming, however, there is a famous incident in which Fleming slapped Judy Garland to get her to complete a scene. When Judy couldn't get her giggles under control, when Bert Lahr's Cowardly Lion made his big entrance, the director pulled her away, whacked her on the cheek, and then ordered her to go in there and work. The final director on The Wizard of Oz was King Vidor. Vidor handled the first sepia-toned Kansas sequences and Judy Garland's much-loved rendition of Over the Rainbow. Vidor never took public credit for his contributions to the film until Fleming died in 1949. Fact number 4. Jack Haley is known for his lovely performance as Tin Man, who desperately wants a heart. What most people don't know about this character is that Roy Bolger had originally convinced fellow actor Buddy Ebsen to take the role. Early into production, Ebsen was admitted to the hospital unable to breathe. It turned out that the aluminum powder makeup they were originally using for his character had completely coated his lungs. When the role was recast with Haley, they switched the makeup from powder to paste. Fact number 5. Margaret Hamilton was an amazing Wicked Witch of the West who utilized the power of fire to scare Dorothy and her companions on the road. But unfortunately, Hamilton had a not-so-pleasant encounter during her dramatic exit from Munchkinland during filming. In the scene, the Wicked Witch needed to disappear into a burst of smoke and flames. To achieve the effect, Hamilton jumped backward into a descending elevator, after which smoke and fire were sent up in its place. On the second take, however, the flames were released too early. Hamilton's broom and hat caught fire, leading to second-degree burns on her face and third-degree burns on her hands. In addition to the faulty timing on the set, Hamilton's copper-based toxic makeup was also a problem as well. Hamilton later refused to do any more work which involved fire, so a stunt double was used in the place where the Wicked Witch's writing, "Surrender Dorothy in the Sky." In a sadly ironic moment, the stunt double, actress Betty Danko, suffered from permanent scars on her legs when the pipe feeding the smoke into the broom exploded. Fact number 6. There is a scene that ultimately didn't make it into the film's original cut because the producers felt that it would date the movie too much, and their goal was for it to become timeless. Right before the Wicked Witch's flying monkeys descend upon Dorothy and her friends in the haunted forest, the group was supposed to be attacked by an insect called the jitterbug, which would make them dance uncontrollably. In fact, you can still hear the witch's comment to one of her monkeys, "I've sent a little insect on ahead to take the fight out of them." Although the scene was cut from the original movie, the line was never removed. Fact number 7. Have you ever wondered if there is such a thing as dressing room envy? That was definitely the case for actress Margaret Hamilton during her time filming The Wizard of Oz. Hamilton had a canvas tent set up as her dressing room, a fitting spot for a Wicked Witch when compared to the pink and blue mansion of the dressing room supplied for fellow star Billy Burke, who portrayed Glinda, the Good Witch. Hamilton admitted during the filming of the movie she would frequently sneak into Burke's dressing room when she wasn't on set to eat her lunch. Fact number 8. Can you imagine The Wizard of Oz without Judy Garland playing the role of Dorothy Gale? According to Hollywood Myths, the studio originally wanted Shirley Temple to play the part. At 10 years old, she would have been more closely matched to the description and age of the character from the original book. During this time, Shirley was also considered box office gold for studios. According to most reports, Shirley was still under contract with 20th Century Fox at the time, and they would not loan her to MGM for the production. However, in the long run, this probably worked out best, because although Shirley Temple was known for her charming childhood songs and dance routines, she would have never stood up against the vocals needed for Somewhere Over the Rainbow. Fact number 9. Do you remember the horse of a different color walking around the Emerald City? Despite the precarious measures taken to ensure actor safety when it came to makeup, the ASPCA was adamant that the horse not be harmed during production. The film crew actually used Jell-O to tint the different colors on the horse. For those that don't remember, the horse was purple, then red, and finally yellow. The only problem with the plan? The horses kept licking off their delicious makeup. For our final fact, number 10. Although it is credited as the first color major movie, the technology used to create it, the Technicolor DF-24 beam splitter motion picture camera, was actually 5 years old at the time. The first actual color movie was produced in 1918, and it was called Cupid Angling, starring Ruth Roland. Of note, Technicolor is not a type of film, but a type of technology in which scenes were recorded on 3 separate film strips, each through a different colored filter. The effect was difficult and expensive to achieve, but Oz clearly proved the results could be worth the effort. The Wizard of Oz was filmed that way to give it the over-the-rainbow effect. The black and white parts were actually filmed on sepia-toned film, which if you notice has more of a brownish tint to it. So there you have it. 10 fun facts about The Wizard of Oz. Let me know if you'd like to see a part 2 of this particular movie, or perhaps a follow-up on the future movie Return to Oz, starring Fairuza Balk. Thank you so much, and I hope you enjoyed this.